Hi, everybody. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Sorry about that. Things have just been a little crazy, I guess would be the best way to put it. So, here for you today is the political energy reading from the swamp for Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. I forgot what the day was. Okay, so let's get this show on the road. First up, we've got the Three of Pentacles. This is talking about having good skills in something that gives you pleasure, satisfaction, earning a living, doing what we like to do or what we're good at. Um, the old saying always goes, if you can do for a job what your passion is, it's no longer a job. So keep that in mind. So, anyway, let's I read the Three of Pentacles and I forgot to read the question that goes with it. So this is kind of where we are now. And that's the Three of Pentacles. Um, this is everybody is trying to either hang on to their job or find a new job or find a job they've been laid off from or fired from. So again, it's knowing what your skills are, what you're good at, and hopefully you can find something that you're good at that you also enjoy doing. So that's kind of where people are currently in the moment. Um, Now, for the next step for us to take, we go to the Queen of Cups. And now this is talking about the Queen of Cups is very much your emotions. It's when our heart is engaged in decisions that we make. Um, when we care for or are concerned about those around us, especially if we're out of work or if a spouse or a partner is out of work. Um, it's the Queen of Cups is the person who kind of will keep the family or the relationship solidified and together because the Queen of Cups is the person who cares. They're the ones that are going to worry. They're the ones that are going to try to help that person get past that job loss or get past whatever it is that's happening in their life and give them the emotional support that they need. Um, Next up, we have the obstacle, and that is the Knight of Swords. Now, the Knight of Swords talks about kind of like being in the middle of a project or situation that's very important. Um, we know what we want to do. We know how to do it. We could be very single-minded, very goal-oriented about it. But because it's an obstacle, that's telling me that there, for whatever reason, there are things that are blocking us into moving into um, this new situation or this new job. For whatever reason, there's something there that's just kind of holding, well, not holding, but blocking you from making that movement forward. Politically, a lot of it stems from the fact that so many people have lost their jobs since January. Um, the current administration seems to take great pleasure in seeing how many people they can hurt in as short a time as possible. Um, and so that's kind of where we're at right now. You know, we've got the skills, we've got the knowledge, we've got the know-how. We have the emotional support at home and around us to help us move out into the world and go forward in what we need to do. But just as we're getting ready to do that, boom, we got this obstacle, this Knight of Swords that's blocking our path so that we can't move forward. Um, from there, we move to our strengths and resources, which is the Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords is all about using our minds, thinking our way through this problem, through the project, through the situation. That's where the Queen of Cups is going to come in handy, because the Queen of Cups is going to be there to kind of help you figure out what your strengths are, what resources do you need to look for. When we use our mind in this sense, we rely upon truth. We rely upon thinking logically, thinking outside of the box to try to create order within our world, not just personally, but also for our community, for our country, for globally. I mean, this can expand out in all different directions. One of our strengths is the fact that we do have the ability to learn from our experiences, to learn from our mistakes, to look at the good and the bad of where we are leading up to this moment, and then figuring out what it is we need to do without becoming jaded or bitter about it. We can be really good friends to each other, even to family members. It's still, that friendship is vital. And I think that what Spirit is trying to remind us is that we have the strengths, we have the resources to move forward. We just have to be willing to think outside of the box, to take advice and comfort from those around us who may have an idea of how to do something that we've never even really thought of before. So it's very important to engage those that you're close to that can help you move forward and make those decisions. Right now, it is so hard for people because of the situation of things going on, especially for those of us in the U.S. of A. It's like the rug keeps getting pulled out from under our feet. And then we go to our last question, which is the potential outcome. For that, we got the devil. Gee, thanks. The devil kind of stands for a reckless pursuit of pleasure, I guess would be a good way to put it. And think about that one. It points out to us ways that we can moderate our behavior, ways that we can kind of keep a lid on our obsessions or our addictions. We have to be careful that we don't allow what's happening now prevent us from making the right choices, taking the right steps that's going to lead to a better future. Looking at my notes here. Another thing that's also very dominant about what is going to come into the future is our responsibilities, not just for ourselves, but for others. We may have a spouse or significant other that relies upon us. We may have aging parents that rely upon us, children that rely upon us, grandchildren that rely upon us, depending on your age. Things are really kind of effed up in the world right now. So it's very important that we take those strengths and resources. We take the advice of those who care about us, who want to help us do better. When we are willing to think outside of the box and how to go forward, it's in that aspect that we can sort of defeat the devil and what the devil stands for, which is deceit. If if you look at it from a religious aspect, the devil is the epitome of deceit, of lies, of theft. And we can't allow that to happen to us, because then what kind of future do you have? You can't let the devil ease his way in there and start stealing your peace of mind, you know? So it's really important for our future that we think clearly. We're aware of what's going on around us within our country, within the global society as a whole. It helps to bear in mind that we are willing to take on the responsibilities that are necessary for ourselves and our families. Right now, things feel like our own government is doing everything it can to break us of that. And that's really sad when you think about it. Now, I also drew a couple of the prediction deck cards, just so we could kind of round it out in the political nature here. The first thing I drew was earthquake shakeup. So I know there's a lot of people that have been feeling like we're due for an earthquake in this country, and not just out on the West Coast. There's been quite a few of us that have been seeing an earthquake more towards the middle of the country, probably along the Madrid Fault, which pretty much follows the Mississippi River. And that takes you from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up practically to the Great Lakes. And so with an earthquake shakeup, you're looking at things being disrupted, life being disrupted, your community being disrupted. Transformations start taking place. Now, those can be good, those can be bad. It all depends upon how you approach that. And that's where that little kernel of hope that I always push for, that's where it comes in, transformation. Because whatever happens, we can take that little bit of transformation and we can turn it into something very positive and very strong. That's not just for our own good, but for those around us or those that depend upon us. It can stand for an unavoidable change. Right now, there's a whole lot of people in this country who are facing unavoidable changes right now because of their job loss, because things have kind of gone topsy-turvy and people don't know what to do or how to make it better. So we have to take all of that in consideration when we're looking at earthquake and shakeup. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a physical earthquake, although that's very possible. And I would say probably within the next 5 years is what I keep getting. Those are the hits that I keep getting, is probably within the next 5 years, we're going to see a major earthquake hit this country in an area that doesn't normally get earthquakes. And so it's going to make it that much harder to deal with. And then the other card I pulled from the prediction deck was Shadow Ruler. And so this is talking about hidden influences, people trying to control the situation that should have no control over it all, being manipulated in your feelings, manipulated in your actions, manipulated in your beliefs. Is very positive, or I'm very positive, I should say, that there's a lot of that going on right now. This shadow ruler. We have Don the Con, I know, that's sitting in the White House, but there are far more evil men and women behind him that are feeding his ego and pushing him to be the worst that he can be. and the rest of us are going to suffer for it. It's part of that earthquake shakeup there. So we have to be smart enough to look at the hidden influences. Is it leadership from foreign countries that are pushing the buttons and setting things in motion that we're having to deal with, that's unavoidable? You know what I mean? I can't get the word out tonight. Or is it something within our own framework that's trying to control our actions, trying to manipulate our actions, trying to manipulate our feelings? So these are all things we have to be strong about and have to look at. But that brings me back to our strengths and resources, which was the Queen of Swords. You know, she represents truth, logical thought. Like I said, thinking critically, actually using our brain matter for more than just watching movies or playing video games. Which there's nothing wrong with doing those things. Moderation is what you want to keep when it comes to that kind of stuff. It feels like those in leadership positions are trying really hard to manipulate not just physically how things are going in this country, but they're wanting to manipulate emotionally and spiritually how we're reacting to it. And this is where our strengths can come in, because we see what's going on, and we can stand up to it. We have a brain. We just have to engage it and start using it again. And I see that as a very strong sense of hope, is having that strength that you can figure out who's doing what to whom. You can figure out how to bring money in to take care of your family. You can figure out how to overcome what society as a whole around us is trying to force on us and say, no, I don't accept that. And then go forward from there. And that's where our hope comes from, is we know what we are and are not capable of. And we know what our communities, our states, our country is capable of when we work together. And part of that strength is knowing and understanding that there are shadow rulers in the background trying to manipulate us into giving up, embracing despair instead of embracing hope. And that's where we're going to beat them, because we are full of hope. That's why Spirit has sent so many light workers at this time, because we all knew this was going to be dark times. And for those of us that are here, we signed up for this, it's part of our soul contract. We were like, yeah, I'll sign on the dotted line. I want to be there to help bring Earth through what's going on so that we can become a better people as a whole, regardless of lines of what country, what city, what state, what religion, what color. None of that matters. We're all human beings. And so if we want to have a positive, encouraging, loving future, then we have to be willing to open our arms and accept and embrace everyone, regardless of where they stand. It's only in that effort that we win. So there's our hope. Be aware, be strong. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated or shuffled around in chaos to where you can't think at all. Back out, step back, and say, no, I don't accept this. This is not the way our life has to be. we can have and be so much better. All right. Y'all have yourself a great day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now. Oops, I got pop-ups. Now I can't shut it down. Hang on. Here we go. Bye.